Welcome to another beautiful, amazing episode of Greeting Moshiach. My name is Levi Polichenco. This is Simcha Fisch. And, so excited to be together in person, Baruch Hashem. And stuff, there's stuff is going on in the world. And, first of all, l'chaim. There's water, but you can say l'chaim on anything.
L'chaim.
So l'chaim.
Yeah, so it's Chanukah. All of us are still reeling from the unfortunate events in Australia. And, especially as Yidden, like we just said, l'chaim, it's all about life for us. Everything is about life. And when something so tragic happens, that so many lives are taken away so brutally, celebrating Chanukah, it's a lot to take in, and it's unclear if you're supposed to say anything at all, or perhaps the Vayidim Aaron route is perhaps a more sensitive approach. But the Rebbe taught us that everything happens. We need to learn, however painful it is, even we need to take a lesson from it. And certainly the thing that's most important now: how does this relate to the Geulah Mitzvah Shlema? The Rebbe taught us that so many, even over 30 years ago, that we're supposed to have the Geulah ready. We're ready for the Geulah Mitzvah Shlema. So what's really happening now? How does this fit into the picture? And the truth of the matter is it doesn't, and it's not okay. And you take a lesson from what happened by the Levi of Peshaleh Lupine, Shenikum Dama. That the Rebbe didn't say, "Oh, everything is great. Let's spread light. Everything's amazing." What did the Rebbe say?
The Rebbe, it's a very, very, I wouldn't say sobering sikha, but it's the Rebbe is pasha just addressing the facts of the matter and the feelings that everybody should have, which is like it's scary, it's dark, it's not a good situation that happened. And the aftermath of it, it doesn't look positive. And the Rebbe, it's very, I want to say that sikha is like, it's such a powerful and impactful sikha because of its context. Because it was in this height of Mashiach fervor, and the Rebbe is telling us all the amazing developments that are happening in the world, and then this happens, and it's almost like, whoa, like, what's going on? And you see in that sikha, there are many people point to that sikha as like, oh, you see Mashiach is not here. The Rebbe says, like, Haytachin, we're sitting already 2000. The Rebbe goes and makes exactly how many years and what's going on, and we're in Kislev. I mean, we're in Adar, like, and the Rebbe points to things that are happening in the world and saying, and yet Mashiach is still not here. And yeah, it's like, what do you make of it?
That was like talking to Hashem there.
Yeah, like
this is not what we signed up for. This is not the Geulah we asked for.
And just after things happen like this, everybody, especially now with the WhatsApp groups and all these things, everybody becomes deazaggers, and people are talking what to say, and immediately posting videos of previous things of how we have to spread light, and we have to, the famous video of Meshach Katarsky, Olav Shalom, we're saying how, I think it was after Mumbai, I believe, saying how the answer to it is that we're going to be stronger and more light and more, love and messages. And, then there's the guys are like, what, why are we saying anything? Like, just like, be quiet for a second. Like, let's be real. Let's go through these emotions. Let's sit with it. And you don't have to say anything always. And I see both sides. I totally get it. So because of that, I decided, we won't say anything right away. We'll stop. And it's not so much because there's nothing to say. It's because, like, why are you saying anything right now? It just happened. You need time to process it. This idea of not saying things right away is because you need time to process it, because you can't say anything without processing it, without it being.
At least the smart thing is to process.
I wouldn't say it's fake. It's just like, I don't believe that this is what you think, because if you're not processing it, then it means it's not coming from like a place of oh, I recognize it, and this is the response. It's just a knee-jerk reaction. Sometimes that shows on like how much we've worked on ourselves, that a knee-jerk reaction is immediately positivity and this and the other. That's something that we got from the Rebbe. The Rebbe pushed us so much with this Simcha and Asay Toiv and always looking at the positive, that it became our gut reaction to anything negative and anything like that to immediately jump on the positivity train. And especially when it happens on Chanukah, it's like obviously this is the reaction to be even more impactful. But there is this idea that you have to sit with it. You have to make it your own. You have to.
We're in the weeks now of story of Yosef and his brothers going down to Mitzrayim, and these weeks you have the story yet when the brothers come back to Yaakov and say, "Hey Yaakov, we have this sorry news to share. Do you perhaps recognize this coat? Poker faces and everything." The younger brothers are like laughing, like snickering in the back. Probably not. No. All tzaddikim. All l'shem shamayim. But if we're imagining the story already, And Yaakov is obviously devastated. He says, "Yeah, that's my son's coat. It's covered in blood." And you have the whole tragic story, how it unfolds. And Yosef goes down to Mitzrayim, and for part of the time he's living the life, and he gets punished while your father is mourning. How dare you sit here and twiddle your hair and then make nice? And then he spends time in jail, etc. He's the whole thing is a plan from Hashem. We know the whole story. But Rashi tells us an interesting tidbit there between the lines, that Hashem made it that naturally when a person passes away, there is a grieving process. These halachas, these things, they're here for a reason. The first you're in Einin, before the body is buried. Then there's there's a burial, the 7 days of mourning, the Shiva. You have to tear your clothes. There's both the halachas of the things you're meant to do parallel the way you're supposed to feel. And there's then there's 30 days. And then there's a year. And things are just always different afterwards, from that even then on. There's a process, and it's necessary. I know somebody who the father passed away right before Yom Tov. So you have a few hours, and boom, Yom Tov, and no Shiva. If it happens during Yom Tov, there'll be a Shiva after. If it happens before, and it gets cut off, and that's it. There's no Shiva. You don't have time to process, and it's, it's less healthy. You're gonna be macho. It doesn't work. It's funny. In Yiddishkeit, we believe in that the famous words that a Fisch Rebbe, that when he was they pointed a gun at him, and he said, "Your toy only scares somebody who has one world and two gods, many gods. Now, I, who have one God and two worlds, I'm not scared of you. You cannot intimidate me," and it's true. But the same Torah that says that tells us that life, like we opened up with, life is precious. Life in this world is precious for what it's worth. And when that's taken away, it's very sad, and you need time to process. And that's why Yaakov, where the Rashi finishes off, it's not a real. He didn't actually. Yosef did not actually pass away. Yaakov didn't get over it. It's too much. So, which tells us two things: that firstly, there was a time to grieve, but then there's a time to move on and react accordingly. About being why it's so important. Why is it so sad when someone dies at all? If they're going to a better place, like everyone likes to say. You learn in Mamar around Chanukah time. In Torah, in the Rebbe's Mamar, and it focuses a lot on the contrast between the lights in the candles and the lamps in the Beis Hamikdash and the lamps that we light to Chanukah. And it's always that the general gist of it is that the lights we light for Chanukah are, once it gets dark, they're on the outside. They're lighting up this physical world, this darkest of places. And the Rebbe's Mamar focus a lot on Asmas. And the Rebbe teaches us that the etzem, the very essence of Hashem, can be found not in any of the spiritual worlds. The Rebbe goes through every spiritual world and says all of that is at the end of the day, it's not where it's at. the highest level of bittul of the angels, of the souls, of all the greatest things, Atzilos and higher, and none of it has Hashem himself. But this physical world, a Jew in this world, a Yesh HaNivra, is the Yesh HaBeri. It literally, a Jew literally is Hashem. It's Hashem down here in this world. That's what a Jew is. And it's our job to realize it. And you do a mitzvah, that's Hashem right there. We don't always realize it, we don't appreciate it, and it's our job to reveal it, and that's these Chanukah lights, lighting up this darkness. That's what it's literally what Chanukah is about. But at the end of the day, this is what Geulah is about. This is what Mashiach is about. It's about making this world into Hashem's garden. Making this world, revealing how this world, Gani Lignuni, going back to that this is my garden, says Hashem the whole time, this is my garden. This is where my Shekhinah was. This is where I'm home, in this world. And you might say, why does the Eibush find himself a home in this world? We don't know. That's the big... it's not so much as it is a secret or maybe not understood. We understand what's happening. Yeah, that Chossid has explained that God's essence can only be... If you have any revelation, if you have any light shining, if you have all these great spiritual worlds, they will cloud over the pure essence. For the example is given that a father loves his only son, or whatever, a father loves his son, there's two ways of looking at it. If the son has talents and is successful and has personality, well then automatically the father's love will be tainted somewhat or colored by the son's accomplishments. But if the son is a baby or just a lowlife, or he's got nothing going for him, in other words, and all he has is that he's your son, then, and this you see by a baby, that's the pure, untainted love the father has for his son, just because he's his son, nothing else. And this world, we have nothing. There's no, we have no accomplishments, relatively speaking. Everything, this whole world is fake. It's materialist. From God's perspective, from the perspective of the truth, we have nothing going for us. Pretty much. And that lets the essence of Hashem be revealed. When a Jew is down here and he does a mitzvah and he makes us dear as possible to make this world a dwelling place of Hashem, and that's the beauty of a Jewish life in this world. That's why it's so precious. It's the ultimate precious thing. And when it's taken away, no matter anything else, it's the soul is ripped from its body, and that's a tragedy, both in a sense for the soul itself, like I've been explaining, but as far as it relates to us, it's a tragedy for us because it's the most complete thing. Death. You can't go past that barrier. It's like, what's on the other side of that? We got nothing. We have like vague stories of tzaddikim of
going out. Yeah.
There's nothing to say. There's no. It's gone. You're not gonna until the Geulah Mitzvah Shlema. You're not hearing from them. I don't know. Yeah, people who are sick, you don't hear from it, or people who are in a coma, you don't hear from them either. But they exist. They're every person has an energy that exists. If a person he exists in Amahad, he's here fully present in this world. And when someone passes away, you have Yatim B'chaya and all this stuff, but it changes. It's not in the same way they were before. That physical presence in this world is gone. And as physical people, that's tremendous for us. That's everything for us. Yeah, we know the after all the good holy things, but we need the Geulah, we need the Vashlema, we need to have everyone back here in this physical world. And we pass like the Rambam tries to say that that a physical body holds back a person from fully realizing his potential. In a person being somebody who has seichel, has intellect, the ultimate.
It's limiting.
It's limiting. The ultimate expression of your intellect is hindered by your body, because in your body you think about physical things. The Rambam says, like, gives an example, because people think that what's going to be in heaven, you're going to have a bunch of food and a bunch of girls, and you're going to have a bunch of the softest silk and the most expensive draperies, and you're going to have the best wine glasses. Just went to a store and they saw wine glasses for every different type of wine, a different type of glass. It's everything detailed. Like you don't just have one glass. You gotta have like 16 different ones, each exactly for the right type of thing with the right shape. This is what you imagine you're gonna have in a. It says why? Because you're a physical person. This is what you imagine. What is goodness? This is this feels good. This is geschmack. When you don't have a body anymore, you have a whole different appreciation for what are the important things. What are the pleasurable things? It's entirely different, and it's a much greater thing. So the Ram says that the ultimate way to understand Hashem is unhindered by a physical body, the soul in its purity. That's Elam Haba, says the Rambam. And Chossid obviously disagrees and says like the Ramban. But no, it's going to be down here in this world. The souls that are in heaven without a body, they're going to come back down into this world, and that will be Elam Haba. The Rambam also says they'll come back down, but he says they'll go back afterwards up. He says no. We hold that the ultimate no. It's down here in this world when the physical and spiritual come together, when they come fused, and that's the big deal of the Geulah, of them both coming together. So it's just whatever. A lot of thoughts here. Just
yes,
consciousness streaming here.
Yeah. So the way I make a distinction between what people say and what basically like this. When things like this happen, it raises questions in like the way you perceive. The reason why it's so tragic is because you had a perception of how the world is supposed to be, and then this tragic thing happened that just broke that perception. Like that's why there's a difference between when someone is killed and murdered than when someone passes away by old age. Like you feel. Yes, it's sad. They're both sad that someone passed, that someone was, no longer around. But the feeling is much stronger when it happens in a non-natural way. Why? Because there's a perception of, at some point someone passes away. But when it happens not in a natural way, it breaks your perception. It breaks the way you perceive the world, and therefore it raises questions, and it's a different feeling, I think.
That's true, right? You have something happens there to Yisrael, and unfortunately, these things happening every day, and it's like, it's sad, but it's different. When you have a Western country like Australia, where, so to speak, officially there are rules and freedoms, and
it's a Western country. It's supposed to. There's things that are supposed to happen. These things are not supposed to happen, and therefore, when it happens, it shakes you more to the core than whatever, because it's like, this is the way that this is the world is supposed to be, at least in my world, and this is not supposed to happen. The fact that it happened, right, so close to home, as they say, it shakes you much deeper. So, at some point, it's like, yes, silence is important, but like you were saying, that there is a process. At some point in that process, you do need to talk about it, and you do need to, figure out what's going on. So there's two different ways of going about it. One of the ways is like answering why this happened and connecting it with things and making it like sort of like verantwoording, like, okay, this happened because, and now like making it make sense. I don't like that, because it's like, who are we? Like, we don't know the intricacies.
I feel no need to be Hashem's lawyer.
Yeah, correct.
He
right, very bad thing that he did, right?
Yeah.
And like the Holocaust, like we don't make a point in trying to answer why it happened, because we don't know why it happened. It's like whatever. But what I could do is I can in my own life, how do I basically square that with what my perception is of reality, what my perception is of what my belief structure is.
Even though your world is breaking,
correct.
How do you
make it make sense? So like
not break you,
correct,
and restructure your world.
I heard a beautiful quote about questions. It's like, you can have questions from today to tomorrow, but as soon as they become doubts, then you have a little problem. Meaning,
that's very interesting.
Asking questions is sure, you can ask questions.
Just asking questions.
Just asking questions is fine, as long as they don't raise doubts, right? The biggest criticism that I have of people
questions are questioning worldview. They're not
right.
It's never just questions.
But as soon as they raise a doubt, like I can have a question on God, but as soon as that becomes a doubt, okay, because of this question, it means that God must not exist. It's like, not necessarily. There could be an answer to your question. Meaning, as soon as it becomes doubts, you're not looking for the answer anymore.
I remember when we were in grade school, we were learning. We had a program, Gemara Brura. I don't know if it's still around. but everything was like you color coded the text of the Gemara, and there was like a different shape for each type of what type of thing is this piece of Gemara, and you can make flow charts and connect them all. Just So there was there was 2 types of questions, or 3 types of questions, but one of them there was an inquiry and an objection. One was what was the shape, like I don't know,
hexagon.
No, like
How many sides?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like a stop sign, but like
Pentagon.
no, pentagon's 5.
Hexagon.
Yeah, whatever. There's a word for it.
Shapes.
And one was the same thing, but like with a different shape. Point. One was pink, one was purple. Inquiry is you have a foundation. You believe you're just asking. You're legitimately asking a question. You're inquiring. What's the din? You don't know. And then there's an objection. Like, no, you're wrong. And they're not at all the same thing. And the point of this was to make you, when you're learning Gemara, ask yourself what type of question is this. And there are types of things that sound like an objection, but the thing you're asking is such a high authority. If you're an Amir asking about a Tana, basically, you don't get to object to what the Tana says. That's not what you don't have that right. You can present a very strong question, inquiring very strongly as I'm sure you have a good reason. What is it? Explain to me how it makes sense. Either way, the Tana is correct. It's a different type of thing. When you're asking, it's very important. You say, I think this is important. This line gets blurred. We're allowed to ask a lot. Chabad, we're very open. We're allowed to ask questions. Okay, maybe that was wrong about everything. Come on, no. That's not how you get to ask questions. That's not what we mean. But
not because you don't get to ask that question. You could technically ask that question, but why? But the question is, what are you trying to do, right? If you're trying to say that upend the entire thing that question the whole system, it's like okay, that's the thing of kfira, right? Kfira is like you're not asking a question out of curiosity, I want to know more. You're asking a question of like dismissing the entire thing. And then you're not really looking for an answer, right? That's the whole foundation of kfira, is that you're not looking for an answer. You're just trying to just destroy the whole thing.
Machkal.
Right.
So coming from Amalek, you're saying that's bad.
Right. It's yeah. So that looking at it from that vantage point, it's like okay, then you need an answer. Then you need to then you need people that you look up to speak, because I have these things and I don't want to be doubtful. I don't want to be like, oh man, it must be that my whole religion and worldview is just wrong because this happened. So you need to look up to the people, to the wiser, because they have they can answer such questions because they have more insights into the whole thing. So we espouse messianic, how Mashiach is here and Geulah is in the world and all these things. So how do you square that with tragedy, with things that are
The Gemara has 2 types of ways of answering questions that it doesn't have answers to. Frustrating as it may be when you get to those Gemaras. Some of the Gemara says, in the case I mentioned before, when we know something to be correct, we have a preconceived notion, and we have a legitimate question or objection to that reality. And it doesn't make sense. And we don't know the answer. The Gemara will just say sometimes the Gemara says, yeah, you're wrong. If it's somebody, sometimes we dispute people. Someone has an opinion, we say, no, your opinion is not correct. Was a good, nice try. Yofta. And sometimes the Gemara says, Kasha. That is a legitimately good question. I do not have the answer, and I'm right anyways. There are some things that are, Chossid talks about this. When you're dealing with seichel is always, anything that's based on seichel is always up for debate. Nothing is out of bounds in seichel. Follow the logic. See where it goes. Ask questions. Contradictions. Everything's on the table. If there's a court case, it's already possible that you're guilty. There are some things that are beyond the court case. They're beyond seichel. They don't come from seichel. They come from beyond that. And when there's such a firm resolution, sometimes you'll have that. The Tana says, I know this. This is true. You have a good question. I cannot answer you why. You seem to be bringing up a good point why what I'm saying shouldn't be correct. I don't know, but I know that I'm right. I don't know, but I know. Yeah. So, and the Gemara takes that. That's Taka Halacha. Kasha. There are things like that. You have to know. There are things in this world you're not going to be able to understand, and that's okay. That's part of this. Seichel tells you there are things that are beyond Seichel. Then there's another type of thing where the Gemara has a question, usually like, what's the din about this or that or whatever it is. And we also take it, which means we don't know. But it also was say this for Tishbi, Yatadas Kushi, that Tishbi, the Eliyahu Navi will come, he will answer all of our questions. There are some things we don't know, and we'll find out last love, along with all those like lost objects that people found that they've been keeping forever, waiting until Eliyahu Navi settles. so there's gonna be a whole safe full of stuff about coming in. You have no idea. Somebody says keep it till Eliyahu Navi can settle the matter.
Yeah, so it's these are good questions, and you know, for some people they're not going to be satisfied with the answers that are given, and that's fine. Just don't make it a reason to not believe.
Don't base your belief only on Seichel.
Right.
You need to have a foundation of something beyond that. Seichel is a good place to. You need to have that. There's the Nasa and there's the Nishma. You need to have a foundation of Nashua. We believe in Hashem. Yes, if Seichel answering questions will help you get there, good. But you need to have it in your heart, in your mind. You believe in Hashem. And if you're Chabad, then you believe what the Rebbe says is true. And otherwise, you can sit there arguing on WhatsApp and in person anywhere. You can sit there arguing all day. But if your whole foundation is only Seichel, then however much arguments you're going to have, it's never enough.
Right.
There'll always be something else around the corner. You need to have a deeper foundation. Seichel is not a very good foundation because it's always shaky. It's always up for debate. You need to have something in your life that's more permanent than that.
And that's outside of you.
Outside, correct.
Yeah, it has to, yeah.
Like AA says, you need to have a. There needs to be.
I've never been to AA, so I have no idea what you're saying.
Never read the big book?
No.
Oh, you should read it. It's a great book.
I don't need to.
Huh?
I don't need to. Thank
but
God.
but you've heard of AA.
Yeah.
I've never been to an AA. I am not an alcoholic. Xera, guys.
4.
Only 4. For some reason, that book was lying around yeshiva. I don't know how it got there. don't know. Yeah, but one of the basic premises, you need to believe in a higher power. And there's a segment there called, I think, we agnostics. It basically says, okay, agnostics. There's a God here. We all good? Yeah, pick whichever one you want. There's a creator to this universe, and if you don't believe it, just believe it, because in order for this to get moving along, you was gonna need to believe in a higher power. Yeah, there's a higher power in this universe. That is something that's demanded. What is it? One of these famous Epicurus today. Hitchens. What,
Christopher Hitchens.
He says, there's 10,000 gods that you don't believe in. No, I don't believe in 10,001. I don't believe in yours either. Yeah. He's an idiot because it takes such shtos to not believe there's a design, there's a creator, there's a higher power.
I heard a crazy verse about apparently this is from the Alter Rebbe. He didn't give us. He said there was a source, but he wasn't able to find it. But one of the conversations with Alter Rebbe in prison was asked about this questioning God, whatever, if there's a creator. So he said,
I imagine everyone in Russia did at that time was
right, but I think it was in this. It was during the up and coming Haskalah movement. You know what I'm saying? There was enlightenment and this and the other. So he was asked, and the Alter Rebbe said, I think something like, it's not possible for human what's it called, whatever, intellect to come up with such a thing if it didn't exist. Meaning, if there was no such thing as a creator, then it's not possible for human beings to even come up with such an idea.
I've heard something.
Meaning any idea that a human thinks about, there has to be some truth, because or some connection to reality. If not, you wouldn't be able to. It's not even conceptual.
So dragons existed. Like, what does that mean?
No. So there is. I'm saying there's answers to that. Lizards and flies, whatever. Like, meaning there is some connection to reality. Everything has to have some relation to reality, or else it's just you can't come up with such a crazy concept.
It's like a whole genre of idea, a whole like interesting.
Yeah, there was more to it, but just to connect to that. Anyways, so so getting back to this, like, so there's Della Pansicha, and then there's in the Mamer Vata Tetzava that I was.
When we get about Tetzava, I think just one more point on the Lapine Sikha. You mentioned before, some people take that Sikha to mean that therefore, maybe perhaps it discredits all the other Sikhas that have spoken in that era about Mashiach and Geulah. It's like, oh yeah, we're common refrain people tell you when you say Mashiach is here and we have to greet him.
Look around.
It's like, oh yeah, exactly. Look around you. What are you talking about? And they point to that Sikha of the Rebbe. I think if anything, I point to the opposite. That notwithstanding the Lupine Sikha, there was all the rest of it. The Rebbe, two things can be true at the same time. The Rebbe spoke what he believed and said that the Geulah is coming and Mashiach is here. We have to greet him. We have to get ready. And we finished all the sparks, and it's a new avodah we have now. And at the same time, the Rebbe said the Lupine Sikha and said this is horrible and terrible and there's no excuses. And how could this be? And this is a contradiction. And it doesn't fit with the reality I'm talking about. It's not okay. But he didn't say, okay, so therefore it's all fake news, back to the drawing board. He kept talking about Mashiach and Geulah. He didn't go back.
Right. It's also something that the Rebbe says about in Vayishlach, when the Rebbe says about how we finished Avodas Haberurim. He said by Yaakov Avinu, when he came to Esav and he saw that Esav was not ready, he says Yaakov didn't go back to continuing doing Avodas Haberurim. He's like, okay, I'll just move on with. I'll do the next thing. Like
he said, that's why he brought. The Rebbe said he brought those gifts, those kabbanas to Esav, those gifts to Esav to draw down from Esav's source.
Right. He was trying to bring the Geulah, right? Because the Esav is from Tayu and he's trying to.
But his been already finished.
Correct. He was ready. And what happened? The Rebbe says that he moved on to Yichud. The Alter Rebbe
explains there that he was giving these gifts to Esav.
No, but I'm saying what the Alter Rebbe explains what Yaakov.
That's what Yaakov did.
No, continued to do after. Meaning he didn't do
to fix up Esav, make a beer of Esav.
No. He says that he moved on to a different avodah.
The different avodah that he did there, I think, is instead of purifying Esav from this world, he brought down these kabbanas to draw down from above, from Esav's source, from Tayu, to uplift Esav from his source. Right. Instead of getting nitty gritty into Birum, he spent 22 years by Lava working with the sheep over there. How many years it was? 7, 14, 6 years, 20 years,
20
years. We should know this. Like I think 20 years. No, he worked 7 years for each wife.
Yeah,
and then 6 years for a sheep.
6 years. Okay, yeah.
He got all nitty gritty. He didn't sleep. All the but here he was going.
Right. The point is that we see that when you finish something, it does, and you see how the outcome that was supposed to happen didn't happen. It doesn't mean that you go back to what you were doing because that's finished. If it's finished, you move on. You do the next.
Right.
thing.
Either it's finished or it's not finished.
Right. Correct. Or so the Rebbe says, being that after we finished, we didn't get the result that we wanted. It must be that there's something else that we have to do, something that is not that.
Not the thing we have already done.
Correct. So right.
So Gil Thomas doesn't cancel out that Rebbe that we have a different idea.
Right, because that doesn't make any sense.
Right, that's not saying anything.
Correct. So what you're saying is that the Rebbe is saying that this doesn't make any sense. It doesn't mean that going back to everything is.
I suppose we're still in Geulah and whatever. That's yeah.
Right. It's showing it. There is a reason to it, and I think. Getting to the Atat Tetzaveh, where the Rebbe talks about the idea of Chossid, that even in a matzav of Menucha in America, where everything's good, begashmias, and even beruchnias, it might be very good, and this and the other. There's still this idea of crush. Why are you Chossid? Because there's places in the world that there's no Gilui Lakus,
which means you don't have the ultimate revelation.
Right. You're as much revelation as you have, right? Even beruchnias. There's still something missing.
You don't have the essence.
You don't have the full that oil. Thing. So I was having this conversation with a few family members, and the thing that they took away from that was that you see, there's still hafas samayna, so we have to do. this that the Rebbe says, right, the Kosimar, it can't be that we finished. It can't be that we're at the end point, because there you see that there's places that still don't have a full Geulah Lakos, and therefore you have to send out more shluchim. You have to go out and you have to bring Yidden closer and make Yidden Pashat Chassidim and all these things.
Well, Rebbe's point there was actually that was not Rebbe's point in that mimer per se.
No,
technically speaking, Rebbe's point was that you should be crushed.
Right.
Correct. Was, when the Geulah happens, God's essence, it won't happen through making another chiddush here. That type of essence will be revealed when God's essence will be fully revealed in the world.
Right. So
that's a different type of.
So
it's not a technical thing. It's not a brick by brick type of revelation.
Right. So that's their thought was we have, right. That's the whole idea of a Fatzamayonis, is we are bringing chassidus to those places. That's our job as shluchim.
And for the record, we still think you should bring chassidus everywhere.
100%.
And the Rebbe never took that.
That was
anything associated with bringing the Geulah. The Chazal tell us, or we know, the Rebbe never, as much progress as we've made, I don't think that Rebbe ever took anything.
Those things still apply.
They still obviously innately have a connection to bringing. Even if we've earned it already, we've done enough. To be honest, still spreading chassidus has to do with bringing.
Right, still doing has to do with the Geulah.
All these things are still
the Ma'aseh Echad.
They're no longer hindering the process. I mean, before this was the thing. We need to complete this. That's why he's not here yet. We need to do this step. Now, none of these things are hindering anymore. They've been done enough that we've earned the Geulah. But obviously, these are things that bring the Geulah. They're associated with the Geulah, and therefore doing them is a good and positive thing. Although there's still the overarching main avodah that I was asking from us about getting ready for the Geulah and greeting Moshiach. These are the things that are foremost.
So right. So then I was like, you have an interesting point that that I'm coming to you with all the sichos of Nanaf and Beis and then the whatever Nun Gimel, and you're coming to me with the last mimer that the Rebbe gave out. Obviously, they're them saying that this is the mimer that we're supposed to continue living with, because the Rebbe gave it to us as the last whatever. So I went back to the mimer and I'm like, okay, let's learn the mimer properly. Let's do it again.
Long mimer.
Yeah, very long. But what I realized is that it's a matter, right? Like you were saying, that the idea of chassidus is supposed to, it's a feeling. It's a feeling that you're supposed to have. You're supposed to feel crushed. Now that feeling is supposed to translate, right? It's supposed to translate into action, into doing things. But the main thing that the Rebbe is talking about is a perspective, is how you're supposed to live your life post Nun Beis. That right now Mashiach is here. The Geulah is in the world, and the Rebbe is affecting the world, and Polichenco, everything, all these amazing things. It's amazing begashmis and amazing beruchnias, right? There's no more shibud malchias, according to, like the Rebbe says, right? Famously, the video of Chavlei Moshiach, right? Obviously, if we're talking about Mashiach is here, so there's no Chavlei Moshiach. But even if you don't want to say that, but this is on record that I was saying Chavlei Moshiach is finished, is the reality. So even with that feeling of like excitement, like, oh, Chavlei Moshiach is over, yet you're supposed to feel ganz tzreisel that we don't have the ultimate, like the Rebbe says, of Lahavi Ma'aseh Mashiach, that not only the beginning of and the first few days and even in the Cheskas, but Lahavi Ma'aseh Mashiach to the full Mashiach Vadai in the Beis Hamikdash, offering Karbanes.
Atmos will be revealed fully in this world.
But you have to recognize, right, the famous song of how can I know where I'm going if I don't know where I'm coming from? You have to know what we've done, what have we accomplished, what developments have already happened in order to continue further. And I think this is, I don't want to say that like okay, whatever. These things, tragedy happens, sad things happen in the world in order to propel you and to not let you be complacent. That's there are people in America, pundits, that are saying how the famous phrase saying of weak men make hard times create strong men create good times, and then good times create weak men, and it's a perpetual cycle. But the point is that where does it go wrong? Why does it continue? Because when it's good times, it creates weak men. Because we're in good times. We don't need correct. We don't need to fight. There's no cusses. There's no crushing.
You don't pull out the reserves.
Correct. So I think what happens, and the Rebbe was trying to bavarn it, trying to not let us be complacent, even with the things that the Rebbe is telling us, not let us be complacent by Chayesar, when the Rebbe is telling us amazing things that are happening. And this is the new shlichus. And the new shlichus is supposed to get you excited, the fact that Mashiach is here, and we're supposed to get, and all we need to do is get people excited about it, right? The feeling, the famous, the mind that we love of the shliach that is asking to be machder, to infuse the recognition, the hakara and the hargasha, the feeling and the recognition that Mashiach is already here, that feeling of excitement, that, Mashiach is here, and not get complacent with the fact that Mashiach is here. The Rebbe is saying, Lahavi L'maisa Mashiach means not just, Mashiach is here, good, I'll sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. No, you have to be
make it happen,
making it happen, the entire thing. So these things are supposed to sort of like a shtickle slap in the face of don't.
There's no excuse, but this is what lesson.
Correct.
This is a takeaway we can take from it. There's no excuse for.
I'm not telling people to take this lesson. I'm saying personally, the way I'm digesting it is like this: is not letting it get me down. That we're still in Golos and this and the other, but the opposite. Yes, Mashiach is here. Yes, the Geulah is here. But it's not ultimately, it's not correct. It's not enough, and we need more. We need it more, and obviously we don't give the Eibishter excuses, and we're not saying, oh yeah, thank you Eibishter for waking me up. No. You have no. You're not supposed. You're not allowed to do this. It's not okay. Eibishter, you can't.
There's going to be a lot of Jewish grandmothers coming to complain about Leon of his.
Correct. Yeah. This is definitely not okay, and we should have all of this 16. And all the people that need a refuah shlema should have a complete refuah shlema, and we should have everybody come back. Ad v'kitzuran sheikhni afar aydei David Malka Mashiach tik v'miyad mamish.
Amen.
Chaim. And we should have a continuous freilich in Chanukah. Chaim.
We should have the ultimate Chanukah that Rebbe says is the going to be the shlema.
Thank you, Eibishter.
ועד כדי כך המדב גולהוב עד העם זול מחי זין יחי המלך